Hi, how's it going? This is Resident of Collinwood for YouTube, Resident underslash of underslash Collinwood for BitChute, and I'm here to do a Dark Shadows video, shock, 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 right? About the character Mr. Best. And before I get into who or what Mr. Best was, really to do a deep dive on this, you really got to talk about Charles Delaware Tate. See, Charles Delaware Tate was this painter. And Tate, what he painted, and sometimes who, tended to come to life. You could make the case they were sort of doing the Dorian Gray element with Tate, that what he painted came to life. But remember, Gray sold his soul to the devil so he would live forever, and his portrait was used to stay young. Now, with this, when Charles Delaware Tate drew something or did a portrait of somebody, the portrait came to life. Enter Amanda Harris. Amanda Harris, there are a lot of Dark Shadows characters. A lot of the characters had a mom and a dad, from a fictional sense, but not Amanda Harris. Amanda Harris didn't. She was brought to life by Charles Delaware Tate when he drew her. And this, I think, honestly, is what caused partially Death to take a fascination. And Death is none other than Mr. Best. That's who Mr. Best is in Dark Shadows. Yes, Death. And you might say, well, wait, he doesn't have the hood, he doesn't have the sickle. Look, we all have been brought up on imagery of characters. I think that's the one thing we get guilty on. So for us, Satan is this horned figure, red, with a little tail, pointy tail. No, Satan to me can take any form, because the one thing I was taught going to a Catholic church and going to a Christian church, I was taught two different religions. And the one thing I was taught with these two different religions was, and my parents did this because of the shit. The one thing I was taught is the devil can take any form. So my understanding always has been this: Satan can be human. Satan can take a human form. So that means Death can take a human form. The Grim Reaper. It's not necessarily a hood and a sickle. No. So Mr. Best, though he looks like a person, is Death himself. He is the Grim Reaper. And the Grim Reaper takes an interest in Amanda Harris. He actually does not want her to commit suicide, but she does. He's too late to stop her. But in order to continue her life, he makes her a deal. If you can find Quentin Collins and get him to remember who you are, you can have your life. Now, why does Death do this? I think because he's simply fascinated with her. Amanda Harris is like no other person Death has ever met, really. This is a character who literally wasn't created by a mom and dad. This person was created by a painter. And I think Death really grew a liking of her. Do I think he was attracted to her? I don't know how the hell you couldn't be attracted to her. By God. But anyway, she was beautiful. And I think Death really just felt for her in a weird way, that Mr. Best gave her every chance to sort of find Quentin and get him to remember who she was. And Quentin did that, but it was too little too late, and the final test for her to go free, they both failed it. I've always wondered why Quentin really never talked about Mr. Best going forward enough to me. I felt that should have been part of his focus, was Mr. Best, was the Grim Reaper. Now, was Mr. Best a character I wish they would have did more of? Absolutely. This dude just shows up out of nowhere. And I mean, he appears in the damnedest places. Is he eerie? Yes. And he's creepy, but he's also charming. Yes. Death is charming in Dark Shadows. Can you believe it? This dude is amazing. The character that they pulled off here for Death, it makes you take every adaptation you see later. For example, I don't know how many people have seen the Prophecy movies with Christopher Walken where he plays Gabriel, where he plays Death, the Archangel. But his character is sinister, but yet somewhat charming, mainly sinister. Dark Shadows' Death is more charming, but he's more about the professional side of it. He does have some sinisterness to him, but not a lot. I wouldn't say a ton. He's more matter of fact in a way. He's very business-like. Okay, he wants to make sure he's doing his job, and to keep allowing Amanda Harris to have a life when he's told her, nope, this was the deal. He knows that wouldn't be fair. I am curious why they didn't do more with this character. Again, maybe they couldn't find more characters to do something with him. I think Quentin is a place they could have went. But Mr. Best, to sort of answer the question I caused on Twitter, if you didn't know, Mr. Best is Death. He's the Grim Reaper. And think about it. This show had Satan. No, they don't show Satan, but they had Satan. He was in a robe. They don't show his face or nothing. They had vampires, witches, warlocks, zombies, ghosts, a phoenix, a guy that had a hand that could do any, basically the Infinity Gauntlet, and Count Patofi. They had it all, man. Dark Shadows, you could easily say Dark Shadows was Supernatural before Supernatural. It just involved the family, really. And Mr. Best was a character that was interesting because he was interested in a person that was created unlike any other that he had seen before him. I mean, when you think about Death, the characterization of Death, okay, in any show, any movie, Death has been around since the beginning, right? It's just like life. Now Death meets somebody that wasn't created by a mom and dad. And I know I've stressed this point, but here's where I'm going to really stress it. They meet a person created by a painter. And this person commits suicide, and Death offers her another chance. That's some shit, and I love it. I think Dark Shadows really gets undersold a lot. And you want to look at the chemistry between the actors, that's actors and actresses, that's really, it gets undersold there too. Is Mr. Death a character that they didn't capitalize on? I just wish I can't say yes or no on that. I wish they would have did more with him. Because again, how do you, Quentin should not have just, you know what I mean, just moved on. I'm not saying he didn't just move on with the snap of his fingers, no, but Quentin should have been wanting to get back at Mr. Best. You get what I'm saying? Revenge on the Grim Reaper. I just... It's so interesting that they... Out of all the characters Dark Shadows creates, they have every supernatural element. I've talked they had Adam and Eve. They had, Adam was basically Frankenstein, but Adam and Eve. Also, they had Adam and Eve. To me, to literally have death itself as a characterization, I thought was a big, bold move for this series. And it works. I mean, it just... Will McKinley, shout out to him, he said they captured lightning in a bottle. And I don't disagree with that. But at the same time, they were able to just lay a character out so well and have them come on screen and just, it works. Like Mr. Best, Adam, Eve, Count Petofe, Charles Delaware Tate. It's just, they kept creating characters that left you going, holy shit, and in a good way. And that's the one thing I find most amazing about this franchise, that here they brought death. And by this time, you'd seen the vampires, you've seen the witches, the warlocks, the Count Petofes, you're seeing the Leviathans. And you get to meet death, but they're calling him Mr. Best. I like how they had the sort of afterlife. There's all these doors, the waiting area. That was sort of like pre-Beetlejuice too. That's what I found interesting. I wonder if Beetlejuice, it wasn't the same style of waiting area, but I wonder if Beetlejuice drew some inspiration from that at all. Tim Burton is a Dark Shadows fan, mind you, so I'm just wondering. That's a question for the Collinsport Historical Society. They can do the digging on that one. See, I'm giving you guys something to do. But no, Mr. Best was death. Now, could you say he was an arbiter of fate? You could, but I would debate that for being an arbiter of fate, he's not very good at it. Because if he's an arbiter of fate, then to me, you're not allowing Amanda Harris to die. You know what I'm saying? I don't think he really wanted to stop necessarily from Amanda Harris dying. That's just something that was sort of a plot device by the Dark Shadows writers, in my opinion. Because again, if she doesn't die, what do you have to hold over her? What would be the point of their interaction if she just says, "Oh yes, I won't jump off this bridge here"? No, I think that's something that definitely needed to happen for his angle to work. And look, you're death. You're the Grim Reaper. You caused this shit, really, in many, many ways. But to me, Mr. Best was death. So that's my video, guys. I'm not going to be real long on this because I did Charles Delaware Tate. I did Amanda. Again, these characters were just so intriguing. And this is why I go back through the Coffin Box set all the time. I love these characters and I love this show. So, you guys have a great night. Have a good one. Of course, you guys are getting tagged on this. So, like, share, comment, subscribe, and Collinsport Historical Society. That is my question to you guys. When you watch Beetlejuice, there's a waiting area, okay? Well, when you watch Mr. Best, he has like this little area that's sort of like a waiting area. To me, did Tim Burton draw inspiration from that? That's my question. See you guys.